What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's daily market recap. We've got a lot to cover. The market is super strong. So today, huge green day, biggest green day so far for the month of July. This puts me up about $350,000 on the month, which is great. So about 35% of the way towards the goal of $1 million. $1 million for the month of July. That's the goal that I set. Now in June, I hit 1.3 million. So I exceeded the goal, which was a million for June, but a million for July. And, if I keep maintaining this kind of average, $1 million a month, wow, this is going to be a pretty big year. But, we keep looking at the momentum and it's unbelievable. So today, the leading gainer went up over 250%. It currently has 67 million shares of volume. But what's interesting on this stock is that the float is only about 1 million shares. So the rotation, the number of shares that traded hands versus the total number of shares available, it's a ratio of about 65, 67. So what that tells you is that there is so much demand for this. It just drives the price up and we get these incredible moves. Now, the move on this actually started yesterday with about 4 or 5 million shares of volume in the after hours trading session. And I didn't jump on it until about 7 a.m. But boy, this stock really got the day off to a great start. And it was both the first stock I traded and the last stock that I traded. So as many of you guys know, I'm currently traveling. I'm on my traveling trading station. So I'll give you a little tour here. So you can see this is my main laptop screen. Some of you guys ask what FIRE means right here. So that FIRE sticker is financial independence, retire early. So, I'm just a big advocate of putting the money away, saving as much as you can. To me, being a trader is kind of like being retired because I don't have a regular 9-to-5 job. But anyway, so this is my laptop here. This tape is actually tape with tinfoil underneath because this trackpad goes all the way to over here. It's too big. So when I'm using it, my palm touches the side of the trackpad and then throws everything off. But if you put tinfoil and then tape over it, it basically deactivates half your trackpad. So anyways, it's a little hack. USB monitor over on this side right there. It's a little out of focus. So USB monitor there, second USB monitor here on this side, and well, I guess a couple of drinks. Non-alcoholic though. So I'm in Spain right now, and I've got fiber internet, super low latency, very low ping, and looking out over the mountains kind of over there. And I guess if you look over that way, you got some mountains over that way. So I'm enjoying being on the traveling trading station. I'm incredibly grateful. One of the things I've always said about trading is that the market has never been more accessible than it is today. The barrier to entry is very low. And generally, there's a lot of really good things about that. But there are some downsides. Anyone can get into the market, even with no education. And so I'm always a big advocate of telling you guys to practice these new strategies that I'm sharing with you, that you're learning, perhaps as a full-fledged Warrior Pro member, or even just here on YouTube, in this simulated environment, because you reduce the risk of unnecessary loss. So I want you guys to take it slow. Now, I also want to remind you guys that our 4th of July sale ends today. So today's the last day of the 4th of July sale, and I'm going to put the link right here. I'll pin the link to the top of the comments, and I'll put it in the description so you guys can check it out. But our 4th of July sale is ending. The sale, we've got some discounts on our Warrior Starter and Warrior Pro memberships, which you guys should check out. We've put together some bundles that include not just my classes. Now, if you look at my classes, for instance, for the Warrior Pro, you look at the Warrior Pro curriculum, and the Warrior Pro curriculum includes a number of different individual classes: day trading the basics, day trading strategies and scaling. These are the classes that I first taught in 2014. So they've been modified. I keep reteaching them, but the origins go back about 11 years. And so you'll have access to all of these classes as part of your membership. Now, the Warrior Pro membership gives you those classes, but one of the things that we really wanted to do was give you guys access to the tools that you need every single day. So as part of this bundle, you'll have access to Day Trade Dash, which is this software right here. And this is going to give you access to my scanners, the chat room, my broadcast. You'll have access to my news feed, and you'll have access to the charts. So this is the platform that I'm using every day to find stocks that are worthy of trading. So let me kind of walk you through how today began. Today began kind of like any other day. except that being in Europe here, I was able to check the scans pretty early. Now, what I noticed was that yesterday, after hours, we did have a couple of stocks that had popped up. So a couple of big moves in the after-hour session yesterday. OCC squeezed up from 350 to 7. We had was it? No, not BS. Now I can't remember the name, the ticker. There was another ticker that squeezed up in the after-hour session. Wasn't this one. This one popped up pre-market. We had ASST, which made a big move yesterday during regular trading hours, as you can see right here. And then we had NDRA, which was another stock that made a big move yesterday after hours. And this one continued higher pre-market. So when I looked at the scans at around 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I noticed some of these stocks were up a bit from yesterday because the close yesterday and then the after hours gains are sort of part of the gain. So when you have a stock that moves after hours, the next day it already shows it's gapping up because the previous day close at 4 p.m. is what the scanner looks at. So NDRA was the first stock that I traded this morning. And I actually took my first trade just before the top of the hour at 7 a.m. So I'm going to put the charts on auto here, scaling, and just bring it back so you can see. So we ended up having this pop right here, as you can see. Now, I actually was watching it right here at about 6:30. I set up my trading station sort of earlier this morning. I was moved yesterday. I was at a different place in Spain. So today I got settled in and I wanted to make sure everything was set up and working well. So I was doing that around 6 a.m. I saw this pop up and I was kind of tempted to buy that micro pullback right there. But I was like, well, we are below VWAP. It's still a little early in the morning, so be patient. Comes back up again right here, and all of a sudden it screams up to 650, pulls back, and I bought this first dip right here. So that dip was at 638, and this thing goes from really remarkable. It goes from about 638, 640, 650 through 7, which was the level that I was watching because that was the pre-market high. And then it goes from 7 all the way up to 8, 850 to $9 a share. Unbelievable. I mean, that is a fantastic move. So I jumped in that starter of 5,000 shares, and then I doubled to 10. Doubled from 10 to 20, and then went up to 25,000 shares. I tried to go to 30. I didn't get filled. It squeezes without me, and then I added around 675 for the break of 7. Ends up hitting a high there of about 7. I take some profit off the table. Then it dips down again, and I ended up adding back for the break of 7, and we got this really remarkable squeeze, as you can see right here, from 7 all the way up to, right in this candle, from 750 all the way up there to 9. So that, I mean, it's kind of crazy, but that's how I broke the ice today. First trade on NDRA, broke the ice, got in, got green, had a cushion, and then started to take a little bit more risk. And something I was starting to say earlier, which I don't think I completed the thought, but having this cushion at the beginning of the month, now all of a sudden I'm in the driver's seat. So I've got a big cushion on the month so I can take more risk, which can make the month even bigger. Sometimes you'll have a month where it's really slow at the beginning of the month. You don't really make a lot of money. And then next thing you know, you're in the third week of the month and it starts to pick up, but you're like, I don't know, I'm kind of towards the end of the month. I don't feel like I should take a lot of risk. So it's always nice when we get this big cushion at the beginning of the month because it just puts us in the driver's seat. So then NDRA gave us a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders pattern right here. And this micro pullback at 829 and the squeeze there up to about 10. Now on that pattern, we were kind of stair-stepping up. We dipped down. As we broke that level, we ended up having our highest volume candle the whole day, 1.5 million shares as we squeezed up to 991. So that put me up over 100,000 on the day. We then dipped down, and then we had a very similar pattern right here where this was our pivot at 950. We broke that level, and we went up to about 10. Now, we didn't go all the way up to this resistance level. We pulled back one more time, and then we pushed higher to 11. We ended up peaking there at ascending resistance. So I already had that trend line drawn, connecting these dots. So I knew that we were probably going to hit resistance there. We dipped down, we pulled back a little bit. And then something interesting happened. We had another stock that came up on the scanner, so we sort of switched gears. But then we came back and I got a trade on this right in here for the squeeze through 11. And we got that really nice move at the open. So in total, I made $179,000 on NDRA. Incredible. Fantastic. The stock is currently up 163%. Now 70 million shares of volume. It's the leading gainer in the entire market. It was the most obvious stock today to trade. But I did break the ice on a couple others. I made $700 on ASST, which in comparison is like nothing. But that was my first trade, breaking the ice and seeing if it was going to work. And it didn't end up working. Then I got MAMK, broke the ice, didn't really get much going. And then we got IROH. Now, ASST was continuation from the previous day. MAMK was a recent IPO that started to pop up. And IROH is a recent SPAC merger, special acquisition company. They did a merger. And all of a sudden today, it just rips. So here's the way I traded this. It hits the scanner initially right here as it pops up from about 8 to 11. It drops all the way back down to 7, then comes all the way back up to 12 right here, goes up to 15, and then it dips down. As it dipped down right here, I took a starter, and I used my hotkey just buying 1,000 shares at about 12. Right down here, the spread got a little tighter, and so I took 1,000 shares, then added to 2, added to 4, added to 5, and I scaled up on it, and then all of a sudden it goes from 1250 all the way up to 1550, which is fantastic. So I took some profit off the table right there. It dips back down, and I said, well, we've kind of got ascending support here. So I bought the dip again, pops back up to about 15. Doesn't go much higher, dips back down to 13. I added back. And then here we got this squeeze from about $14, $15 all the way up to 19. Now, my mistake on this one was right here. I added back. It was actually right here. I added back right here. And the reason I added back was because it felt like it was basing out. And so on this move right here, I made $70,000. I was up $235,000 on the day. And down here, I added 12,000 shares. I thought this feels like it's going to bounce, but it did not bounce. And I finally sold right here, and I ended up losing $35,000. That was a pretty big red candle. It dropped from 1350 to 1150, 2 points in one candle. Now look, it's great when I get a 2-point candle going up, and it hurts when I get a 2-point candle going down. So what we always say about trading is easy come, easy go. So you got to kind of roll with the punches. I lost $35,000 on that trade right there. It drops back down here. So I peaked at 235 on the day. That dropped me back down to 200,000 on the day. And I said, well, I'm not going to get back in this. It's too weak. So I said, I'm done with that stock. And I switched back to NDRA and made an additional $19,000 on that stock, which got me back to 219 on the day. So I'm still down about $16,000 off my high a day. I wasn't able to get back to the new high. It just didn't happen for me, but I'm not complaining. Even though I'm down a little off the high, this is a fantastic day. And, if we kind of take a step back and we look at, so far, so this is going to be, let's see. So this right here is $18.5 million in trading profit. And this is over the course of about 32,000 trades. But we're going to zoom this in just to, we just do year to date. Let's see. Today's going to put me over 4 million year to date. So over 4 million year to date, $30,000 average daily gain. So I feel really good about that. $2,800 average winner, $1,200 average loser. That's a good profit loss ratio with 72% accuracy. 3-minute winners, 2-minute losers. So jumping in and out pretty quickly. And if we look at the month so far, just this month of July, which, we don't have a lot, but I was at 137,000 on the month as of yesterday, before today. Accuracy was a little bit lower, but a nice profit loss ratio. And in any case, $137,000, and now today with 219, that's going to put me up, a solid 350,000 on the month. So now I'm 35% of the way towards that $1 million goal, and so I certainly, feel really good about that. And if I look at my metrics just over the last 30 days, I've been averaging closer to 50,000 a day. And this is kind of what I've been noticing is that because we've got really so much volatility in the market, as long as we have a stock that's obvious, I tend to be hitting 50 to 60,000 pretty quickly. These are my sort of average days here. So 100, 100, but a lot of days that are in the 50s and 60s. But notice a couple days that are like, 5,000, 2,000, 5,000, 3,000, 17,000. So these are days where there was virtually nothing to trade that I liked. And so they were kind of like sort of a wash. So I'm finding that I'm either having, something I like and I could do 50 to 100,000, or there's kind of nothing, which is interesting. But I'm certainly grateful for the large number of days where I have been finding something and I've been able to, get in, get green and build a cushion. And just the last 60 days, things have really picked up. We look at the last 90 days and you could see it was maybe a little slower. And now it's just, May finished really strong, and June, just we're in a really nice stretch here. So, my goal each morning when I sit down is to try to figure out which stocks are obvious. And NDRA was pretty obvious. In spite of the fact that the move began after hours, it continued to hold momentum. And so, we got a really nice move on it. I guess the total rate of change from yesterday ended up peaking at about just under 250%, which is really solid. So I'm going to be back at it tomorrow morning, as always. For those of you guys that haven't checked out the 4th of July sales, I hope you check them out. We do have a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you get to spend the next 7 days going through the classes, being in a chat room, using the software, and seeing whether or not it's a good fit for you. And if you enjoy it, then, stick with it. And we'd love to have you. And if not, no harm, no foul. You get whatever you gain from those 7 days is yours to keep. And I'll appreciate that you gave it a shot and checked out the community. Personally, I think you're going to love it. If you look around, most people don't offer these types of 7-day money-back guarantees. And I think the reason is because they know once you kind of see what it's like, to be a member, you're disappointed. You're going to be like, wow. I remember at one point, what was this for? I took a class on public speaking because I'm not, it's not something that really comes naturally to me, and I get nervous about it. And so I paid for this class, kind of like you might be thinking about joining the Warrior Pro. And so I signed up for it. I go in, and each class, there were like 12 chapters. The chapters were like 5 to 7 minutes long. And I was like, are you for real right now? This whole course, so to speak, if you can even call it a course, is like 35, 40 minutes long. I mean, this is ridiculous. And I felt really disappointed. And if I had had a 7-day money back guarantee, I absolutely would have said, I'm out of this thing. So, we like to give you guys a chance to really get into the community and see what it's like. And, when you go through this class, Strategies and Scaling, which is available for Warrior Pro members, you're going to see that it's very comprehensive. So these are the 20 chapters of content, and it's hours and hours of educational content. So, when I put this together, my hope was that I would be able to bridge the gap between the theory of, trading and actual practice of how to find setups in real time and where to get in and where to get out. Just really let's really dissect this. So yes, it's 113 hours long. Doesn't mean you need to watch every single minute of it. There are certain sections you might not find helpful for you right now for where you're at, and you'll get to them later. But it is very comprehensive. And I guess Investopedia ranked it as the most comprehensive day trading course. So I hope you guys check it out. And that's it for me. Reminder, as always, trading is risky. You guys know that. I've said it a million times. My results aren't typical. I've been doing this for a very long time. So there's no guarantee you'll find success whether you trade with me or you learn on your own. So please manage your risk and always practice in a simulator before putting real money on the line. I'll see you guys back at it, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning.